Our session today is going to be pretty short. I wanted to provide some context of some of the feature updates that our product team has been working on. At Good Shuffle Pro, our engineers are always taking customer feedback and looking for ways to make our product more efficient and easier for you to use as a business owner. And with my sales background, I wanted to talk about how some of the product improvements on the inventory tracking slide can really help contribute to your sales. So why am I the best person to talk about this? Well, I have been at Good Shuffle Pro for a long time. I have been in the events industry for a long time, and I have been selling for quite a long time. And what I have seen is that the businesses who are the most successful are often the ones who have harmony between their front end and back end. So today I'm going to take my operational learnings from the event space, my sales learnings from my time selling, and of course, give you the insight as somebody who's been with Good Shuffle for a long time and showcase how some of our particular features can help the two combined. There are some excellent takeaways here if you're not a Good Shuffle Pro user yet, so definitely stay tuned. One of the things that folks might be surprised to hear is how much the speed of which you can reach out to your clients after they've reached out to you impacts your likelihood of winning the sale. In fact, there are several Salesforce studies, not only Salesforce, Harvard Business Review, Gartner, Gong, HubSpot, tons of sales leaders and researchers back up this information that the faster you get in touch with somebody after they inquire with you, the more likely you are to win a sale. What does that tie-in look like? Well, if you can call your lead or your prospect or potential client back within 5 minutes, you are 100 times more likely of qualifying that lead and landing the business than if you call back within 30 minutes. Can you imagine? 30 minutes, your time to close goes down, and it goes further and further and further and further down the longer you take to reach back out. Now, does that mean you're going to win everyone that you call back within 5 minutes? No, but you're going to be able to qualify them faster and get back to them faster and get a proposal back in their hands faster. And so this is the front end side, right? This is what you can do as a business owner, or when you're talking to your teams, what your sales folks or your person sitting at the front desk, the engagement with a new lead coming in is incredibly important. Because the problem is that opportunity decays very quickly. So the amount of when I'm even emailing some of our users, in fact, to get in touch with them, they'll have an autoresponder up to their email that says, oh, we'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. And I appreciate the need for boundaries. I appreciate that you've got a lot going on in the events industry when it comes to loading up on site, when it comes to after hours events, when it comes to folks wearing multiple hats. But all of that matters, and all of that influences your ability to land new business. And so one of the things that I would have you look at if you are struggling with sales right now, or your sales aren't where you want them to be, is do a little bit of an audit of how long that first touch is taking you. So often folks pour all of this time into the perfect proposal, but it takes folks so long to even connect with the prospect to begin with. And I want you to think about how much you have going on mentally, right? Even if you were to just reach out to like schedule a haircut or want to make a reservation at the restaurant, something I've done recently. The restaurant didn't have a form on the website. They didn't have a phone number that I could call to talk to somebody. They made me email a request for a reservation, and then someone was getting back to me in 24 hours. I moved on. It was a highly recommended restaurant. It's still on my list of restaurants that I want to go to. But in this particular instance, I needed to mentally get this dinner reservation off of my checklist. And so I just made a reservation somewhere else. Similarly here, yes, you may be loading in at other event sites. Yes, you may be talking to another client. Yes, you may be juggling operations. But that one pickup of the phone call, even if it's to say, hey, Mallory, I am in the middle of loading in for an event. I would love to spend 5 minutes right now learning a little bit more about what you're looking for so that I can work to get to your proposal. And then you can ask things like, what is your timeline? What is your budget? You can do all of these deeper conversations, but at least get in touch with the potential opportunity as quickly as possible, because all the person on the other end wants to know is that you have their back, which you do. I know folks in the event space, and they are so good at taking care of their customers. So make that connection as instantly as possible and set that level of expectation. When it comes to getting in touch with your clients, there are two components. There are expectations that you need to set with your prospect or your potential customer on the back end. And then there are systems and processes that you need to set up on the back end to make it easy for you to get in touch and get that prospect information they need. So when it comes to setting expectations for the prospect, I would think about how you do business best. Maybe for you, that is by email, and you're going to get back to folks faster that way than a phone call or a text message. Whatever is the fastest method of communication, that call to action needs to be very explicit on your website. Do not make the prospect or user guess at the most efficient way to get in touch with you. If you want folks to text you over, email you over, call you, or like Good Shuffle Pro has a website integration, you want them to submit the wish list integration. Take stock in what is the easiest for you to get information back. Also consider that you're not creating too many barriers for the prospect to get in touch with you. Remember, this is a first connection. So oftentimes I will see call to actions on folks' websites, mostly ones that need to be overdone or outdated. And my goodness, they have a list of questions that make me feel like I am filling out an SAT form. I just want to know, should we do business together? I don't necessarily know the load in. I don't know where my tent is going to go. I don't know what kind of power the hotel is going to have. And these are all very important questions, but be intentional when you're asking for more information if it's reasonable for your prospect to know that information based on where they are in the sales process with you. Again, I know events people, I know how hard you work to make things easy on the client. Do that from the very beginning. So we've talked about making easy CTAs, calls to action, for your prospects. Now you've received that lead, whether that's a phone call, a text message, an email, a wish list submission from your website. Think about what processes you need in place to get back to the clients easiest. I want you to think now about how much information you have access to as quickly as possible. How can you make sure that you have enough inventory, have that date available, have the team available? What does your business landscape look like without requiring you to check 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different places before you get back to the client? It should be an easy no if you don't have the date available because you're already scheduled. That information should be on your calendar. Your next thing is if you don't have the personnel or inventory available, that should be readily available to you as well. Now, this isn't you agreeing to the entire scope of the event. It is you being able to confidently say, I can look into this further. We can take the next step together. Take this journey step by step by step with your clients. Similarly to the form fill on the website, do not at this point go into the 101 questions that you need them answered in order to take the next step. Until you have the signed contract, take this one step at a time. Based on what your process is like currently for folks, for you to get back to them of like, is this a yay or nay to continue the conversation? Think about what hurdles you can remove. Now, I would encourage you to do two things, especially if you're working on a team. I would, one, have one of your front office folks or have one of your sales people call into you and go through the process and the experience of what it's like to be a new customer. Then I would switch roles. You be the new customer calling into your salesperson and physically go through your sales process. How does it feel? What information do you need? Do you not need? What internally is causing friction in order for you or your team to get back to your clients? If you're solo entrepreneur, you can go through this process as well. It's probably a little bit trickier for you to play both roles simultaneously, but it's important that you go through your process, not just from the perspective of the business owner or the salesperson. When we talk about solutions, there are 3 areas that I want you to consider before I jump into some of the ways Good Shuffle is helping on the inventory front. So the first is be accessible. In today's world where everything is an email or a web form or I'll email you back in 24 hours, I'd really encourage you to get a phone number. There are ways that you can reduce spam. I know that that can be really frustrating as a business owner. I also know as a salesperson how much that helps me and my team in our sales process to give folks a quick avenue for people to ask quick questions. Please eliminate your autoresponders. I mentioned this earlier, but the amount of folks in this space who have autoresponders that say, well, I'll get back to you in 24 hours. Well, I'll get back to you in 72 hours doesn't make me as a recipient feel great about the priority of my message or how quickly I'll get back. Remember, we talked about statistically your need to get back to a new prospect within 5 minutes. And if I see that it's going to take 24 hours to get back to me, I'm going to move on to a competitor. Unless you are offering a product that is so specialized that is not available anywhere else, that is going to kill your ability to land a sale. The third thing in your sales process is just do what you say you're going to do when it comes to accessibility. So after that first 5 minutes, if you say, I'm going to have a proposal to you tomorrow at 8 a.m., meet that deadline. If you say it's going to take you 48 hours, that's fine, but meet that deadline. Remember, it's also better to surprise and delight a customer. So if you say it's going to take 2 days to get something within 24 hours, then the reverse. So keep that in mind when you're expectation setting. Oftentimes, folks in the events industry lament, I just wish my clients would just trust me. I know what we need to do. This is one of the easiest ways that you can build trust with your new customers and even your existing clientele. Be accessible, do what you what you say you are going to do when you are going to do it. Get team buy-in. So you only control one piece of this process, right? You can set the expectations with the team. You're going to need to get buy-in from your sales folks. You're also going to need to get buy-in from your crew. So one of the components that I talked about on the last slide when we talked about reducing friction is your ability to get accurate information to your prospect or new client as quickly as possible. And this is where having new inventory or having your inventory up to date really is reliant on this crew aspect. Because if your crew isn't maintaining the damaged and repaired items, when your salesperson goes to put a quote together, my goodness, the last thing you want is your team promising something to a prospect that you cannot deliver on. So this relationship here between the crew updating information so that the sales people have access to that information is fundamental. And it's what I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about in a little more detail today. So a lot of businesses that come to Good Shuffle are often operating off of spreadsheets or even pen and paper. Pen and paper companies make it extremely hard to give the salesperson up-to-date information in a real way. So if I'm coming back from a job that has Chiavari chairs, for example, being able to give your team the ability to update items that may be damaged or broken is so important, right? So if I am supposed to have 250 of these chairs, I'm going through inventory or I'm checking items back in, and there's a whole stack that falls over, and my goodness, they're damaged. 43 of them are out of use. Stack fell over, total broken. I now, as a salesperson in Good Shuffle, as soon as I'm putting a quote together, can come in here. And let's say I want to put something together for my buddy David, and he needs some chairs on the 14th. And he wants these Chiavari chairs. And let's say he wants 225. I, as a salesperson, now have access to knowing, oh my goodness, there is not enough of these available because 18 are damaged or missing. You can also keep information up to date by providing alternate items for your sales team. So what can they offer that is similar if this item is out of stock? Maybe this item is something that can be ordered and replaced in time for the event. That's no problem. You could still send the client this quote without letting them know that there's a conflict. And then Good Shuffle Pro has 101 ways that make it really easy for you to remember to order or repair these items. Similarly, let's say David is, or let's say another client is on your website and they also want these clear Chiavari chairs. So they're searching your inventory. They come in here and they want 100 of these chairs on September 14th. So they add these to the wish list. They give you their information about who they are and where their event is taking place, and they send this off to you. We're also giving your team the ability to respond to those folks right away. So your team gets an email inquiry. The client gets an email confirmation that we see here. And your team gets the ability to have a quote already built for them. And Good Shuffle Pro is checking whether or not we have that inventory available. So now, even if I don't have these chairs in stock, imagine my first call to Monica Geller, somebody who is notoriously neurotic. I can call her up with solutions. Maybe you can order this chair. Great. But maybe you go in and you say, hey, Monica, we don't have this particular chair available, but I've got this other style. I think you're going to love it even more. And I'd be happy to not only upgrade that chair, but give you a discount if you want to move forward here. You can be on the phone with her having this conversation and send her the information to say, I'm sending you over this quote. Take a look at the chair that I'm proposing and let me know what you think. This is going to give Monica the ability to, while they're on the phone with you, receive this quote and take a look at the chair and say, oh, great, love, and move forward and close that contract. See how all these systems, when they're working together, give you and your client the ability to, do business together even faster, to move forward even faster. And when we take a look at not only our first connection, but we consider throughout the sales process, okay, what are my best odds of success? I'm no longer taking, days and weeks and months to get back to someone and finalize the contract. I can do that within hours or days. And so my likelihood to close this deal goes up even further. I love the ability for you to make things as easy as possible on your team to keep items updated as well. So on our inventory page in Good Shuffle, we make it so easy for you to have access to what availability looks like. So if you don't want to go through the process of creating a full contract or checking inventory that way, also easy for you to jump in and use this reporting feature and say, okay, let me take a look at this weekend here. And I can search and say, hey, what chairs do we have available that are white or gray? So you can drill down on the information that you're looking for. When it comes to your crew keeping items up to date, let's say they're receiving more inventory back in. So they are, let's say, getting some gray Lawrence sachets in. Great, I can easily come in here and update the quantity from 7 to 9. If I wanted to tag inventory to a certain collection or for a certain vibe, make it easy on the sales team, I can come here and easily come in and say, okay, I want these to all be part of our mod collection. So I'm going to come in here to tags and say, great, these are part of our mod collection. And so again, when I go to build a quote, let's say for David, I can easily search for my inventory. And now I can pull up all of my mod collection items and add those to a quote and help me build faster. Other things that folks are loving from the inventory front, especially when we want to make bulk changes here, can include things like adjusting the quantity if we're reordering items. Let's say you're doing business in a new city or a new jurisdiction. You want to change the tax types. I know pricing is something that often comes up as well. We're increasing the price of all of our napkins by 50 cents at the beginning of a season, or all of our chairs are going up by $1. So I can come in and configure some of those changes here. Pricing, recategorizing items. The way that your crew can keep these items up to date just makes it really easy for you to then make changes in a way that influences and impacts your sales process as well. From a marketing perspective, your teams can come in here and also make changes. So if I wanted to come in and add or remove things from the website, I can do that here. I can add descriptions to make that super easy. And you can have different descriptions that appear on the website and on your contracts. Hopefully, these updates are providing a lot of good ideas for how your sales process can be impacted and influenced by your inventory management. Would love the opportunity to take a deeper dive into your sales process, and happy to connect you with a member of our sales team. So in the description of this video is a form for to book a time, learn more about our product, or if you want to email questions to sales@goodshuffle.com, we'd be happy to reach you there. Bye.